On this episode of Warikoo, we go through how to write a cold email with the purpose of getting a job. But before we get started, it's a humble request. If you can right now, just press on the subscribe link. It will mean the world to me. All right, let's get started. So this is an actual email that I got from someone as recent as last week. Subject line, urgent. Email, dear sir / ma'am. Please find attached my resume for relevant openings in your company. Regards. This is not just an example of a fictitious email. This is a live email. Like, I got this until as recently as last week. And this is not a singular phenomenon. It's not the first time I'm getting such an email where someone's written urgent. It's urgent for you, not for me. Where someone starts with dear sir / ma'am. Like, really? It takes so much of effort to figure out what my gender is. And I'm not even flippant about my gender. I know I'm a male. And I get addressed by dear Mr. Warikoo, dear Ankur, dear sir. Please find attached my resume for relevant openings in your organization. So let me get this right. You send me your resume, and now I have to open it, go through your profile, figure out who you are, figure out what you've done in your life all this while, make a persona of you. Now go back to my company's open roles, scan through all of them, figure out which one of them fits your profile, make that match, and then write back to you saying, dear sir / ma'am, this is urgent. I want you to come down for an interview for this particular role. Not gonna happen, buddy. Not gonna happen. And it is unbelievable how many people still get email wrong. It is unbelievable how many people still think that writing such an email will get them an interview, will get them a conversation. So in today's episode, what I want to do is go through actual live examples of emails that have worked for me and then break it down to tell you what about them made it work. But here's the admission. If you think that email is dead, and if you think that the only way to get through a conversation is through a LinkedIn email or an Instagram DM or a Twitter DM, you're wrong. Email still remains the biggest and the most effective way of communicating with professionals. They check their emails every day. They get a lot of it, yes, but they are always scanning it. And if you write the perfect email, if you write an email that's truly led with research, you're going to make it happen. Here's how. This is a good example of that. Subject line, I know you don't have time, so here is a simple 10-point pitch. Brilliant. I love it. It recognizes that I don't have time. That's empathy. I love that fact that the individual preempted what I am going to think or feel if I see another useless email. And then it also says, here is a simple 10-point pitch, which makes it like you don't have to go through loads and loads and letters of who I am and what I've done and so on. It's a simple 10-point pitch. And then it's a 10-point pitch. I'm 21 years old and I've been coding since 6th grade. Interesting. That catches my attention. I like coders. I like coders who have been coding for a really long time. I couldn't care whether you have coded professionally or you've gone to a school for coding and so on. But the fact that you've been coding, that's interesting. I'm a national level quiz champ. Very interesting. In 10th grade, I took my family's business online. Very interesting. Shows me that you're an entrepreneur. Shows me that you know what kind of individuals I perhaps get attracted to. That has had 100% year-on-year growth till this date. Very interesting. So it's not just about you picking up your business, it's also about you delivering on that. Got bored and then want to start up in tech. Honest, humble, accepts what they are good at, what they're not, is self-aware. Very interesting point. Not the kind of person who's asking for startup ideas. So very clear, not this, oh, can you tell me what should I work on? Can you mentor me and so on? No, it's not that. I have my own plans. I just need a little guidance. Confidence. All I'm asking for is to learn from you by working as close to you as I can. And the points continue. It's effective. It gets straight to the point. We'll understand what works for it. But when you go through that email, you begin to see how this is working. It's a cold email. It's not responding to a job posting. It's not responding to a nearby position. It's responding to an individual and wanting to work with them and as close as they can with their work, and lays out what are the things that they think Ankur Warikoo is looking for, which shows that this individual has done his homework, which shows that this individual knows what kind of a person I will be impressed by or attracted to. Another one. Seeking relevant opportunities for work and mentorship. Okay, that's a soft, subtle subject line, not the most exciting in the world, but I opened it. And then here was the email. Dear Mr. Warikoo, greetings. I hope the COVID situation has been good for you and your family. So that's just nice. Yeah, happy. Here's the interesting part. I've always known you as a successful Groupon guy for the past handful of years. So writing directly to you is surreal. Suffice to say, it's been exciting to see the transformation of nearby.com and your rise as an investor and now life coach. I love this. I love this for two reasons. One, this individual clearly knows all that I've been doing all this while. And two, has also the ability to connect and form that level of respect for the individual that they're writing to, and also get their attention in the right manner. And it doesn't stop there. I was reacquainted with you while attending the Embracing Change course from Harappa Education, and was particularly very impressed by how effortlessly you delivered your nudges of wisdom and how approachable you seemed. And that is possibly the trigger for this individual to write to me, because they're like, you know what, I've been following you for a while and I've seen your contact and I've seen your transition and I've seen all that you've been doing. But suddenly I was encountering a different form of content that you had made. And that just got me thinking, hey, you seem approachable. I could perhaps write to you. And then this individual goes on to explain who they are and what do they want to achieve. It's a great, simple, very effective email that again goes back to the same thing that people research. Another example. Subject line. Ankur, you're a leader then a CEO. Please keep inspiring. It's a very unique subject line. It doesn't talk about job application for marketing function. Please accept resume. Urgent. I need help. Please open this up. I need a job right now. None of that. It is very, very direct. And here's the truth. Everyone likes to be feeling that they are liked. Everyone likes that. It's this natural affinity towards anything positive that is said about you. So if there is a subject line which is, Ankur, you're a leader than a CEO, please keep inspiring, I am never, ever going to delete that email. Ever. Even if it's the most bullshit email inside, I'm going to open it up. Would you not open it up? And I see you nodding your face. You would. If I were to write to you saying, you are so awesome, I can't believe I'm writing to you, you would open that email. You would absolutely open that email. That's what I did. And here was the email. Hello, Ankur. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe in these unprecedented times. Unprecedented times. But move on. Thank you for the motivation with your videos. Please keep inspiring. Is my daily routine to get to know about a new company. That's interesting. This guy has a daily routine to know about a new company. I don't know if it's true or not, but it does sound impressive. I was trying to understand about Nearby from the online resources available, and it looked interesting to me how you are connecting customers and the service providers, providing local deals and offers to the customers at one end, and providing the providers to increase their online presence and get extra customers to increase their revenue. That is good shit research. That is good shit research. Like, this guy has literally gone through documentation and anything that's available online about Nearby, and summarized this really nicely, fairly elegantly. And that catches my attention because someone's made the effort to get to know the company that they're applying to. As part of the health tech startup that I was involved in, it was a similar enterprise business model where we were connecting patients, payers, and practitioners. I would love to talk about in detail how my experience in that enterprise business would help Nearby. I'm an engineer by academics and a business development professional by choice. I carry an industry experience of over 6 years in the area of inside sales, digital marketing, business analyst, solutions implementation engineer, along with key accounts management. So nice, happy work. Here's where it gets really interesting. I went to the careers page on your site and I realized you're not looking for new members in the team right now. But I'm really excited to be part of Nearby, so I couldn't resist myself from writing to you just in case there are any possible roles for me that are not updated on the website. An area that I can think of at the moment is where I can assist is in the enterprise business development team. Would love to know your thoughts on this. I love it. I love it. Because here's a guy who's saying, you know what? I saw that there were no open roles. I get it. But I'm still presenting my picture. I'm still sharing my story in the hope that you can find something that may be relevant for me. And he did the additional hard work to propose what is it that they could be doing. And that's wonderful. It is just so respectful of the other person's time that you've sent the email to. And it basically gets them to a point where they're like, you know what? Even if I don't respond personally, there's no way that I will not forward it to the HR function and ask them to take it up. Last I would do is just genuinely respond, which is what I did. I genuinely responded to this individual saying, I love the email. I love your approach. We genuinely don't have anything right now, but tell you what, the day we do have an opening, you'll be one of the first people that I will reach out to. And that's a promise. It's a gentleman's promise, and I've held that several times in the past, and I will continue to in the future as well. I'm not suggesting every company does that. I'm not suggesting every individual does that, but they at least got me to a point where I responded. So how does a cold email work? And these 3 examples are elegant examples of that. You start with not writing the email, but by your research. You research about 3 things. If there is a job posting that you're applying to, then you research about the job. You research about what the job description has told you. What are the important attributes of that job? What is it that they have repeatedly mentioned are skills or attributes that they are looking for in the individual? Make a list of that. And more importantly then, when you've diagnosed and gone through the job description, go and search for individuals on LinkedIn who are living that job in that company right now. And look at what they have to say about the current role that they're in. So if you're looking for a business development role in Nearby, or if you're looking at an account management role in Google, or if you're looking at any other role in any other company, go on LinkedIn, search for that company, search for that function within that company, and then look at each one of those individuals who are living and performing that role that you are likely to be performing in the future in that company, in that function. And just scan through them. What is it that they've done in the past? Where all have they been? What do they say about their roles and responsibilities in the current company, in the current function? That will tell you a lot beyond the JD. That will tell you a lot about the company. It will tell you the kind of people that they like. What is the kind of things that they want them to say? What is the kind of experience that they've had? Look at the endorsements that have come from people who have come from the same organization that they're currently at. What did they have to say about those endorsements? What were the words that they chose? What is it that they spoke about? Did they speak about this is a very driven individual, or a very honest individual, or a very aggressive individual, or a very forthcoming individual, or a very autonomous or helpful individual? Whatever the case is, what are the adjectives that they're using, that most likely is how the company behaves and thinks. And that is what forms your application, your mindset, your email that you will eventually send out. Finally, identify who are the individuals that you should be reaching out to. Here's the trick. We all tend to reach out to HR. We all tend to reach out to people that we think are working towards the role. But the truth is, it's not the HR that is mostly responsible for those roles. It's the hiring manager. The hiring manager is the one who wants this role to be filled up. They're the ones who are recruiting for their teams. They're the ones who are recruiting for whatever is the function that they represent or own or lead or manage. And that's why if you reach out to them, they are far likelier to respond than if you were to reach out to HR. Because the HR, for all no fault of theirs, are just bombarded with all applications and with all applicants and everyone writing in for a status check, everyone writing in for a recommendation, everyone writing in for a job hunt. So they will never respond to everyone because they know that the minute they respond, it's opening up a can of worms and they can't set themselves up for that. So they are better off not responding. Don't blame them. That's the nature of the job. But if you were to write to hiring managers who are hiring, what? I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people at best at any point of time. So if they were to get 20, 30 emails, there's a far higher likelihood that they will respond as against an HR who is sitting on 30 open positions and thus are getting emails from 300 different people. They're not. So look and identify who could be the hiring manager. Who are individuals in a position of power who seem to be in a position of decision making in the company for that function that you want to apply to. And that's why you would write. Now, most of these people wrote into me, and I'm the CEO and the founder. They could have very well written into the head of business development. They could have very well written into the head of sales. And what's to say that they haven't? So many times, and it's happened, I kid you not, that I find a great email, I send it to Ravi, who's the CEO of Nearby, or to Snehesh, who's the COO of Nearby, and guess what they say? We got the email as well. And that's a smart thing. That's a smart thing because the guy or the girl who's written that email recognized that the email should reach out to as many people as possible because that's when they are increasing their chances of a response. And don't overthink this. If your email is written well and with the research, they will come through. So that's the first part. You research, and you research like your life depends on it. What is the role all about? What is the company all about? What do people living in that company and that role speak about the company and the role? What are the adjectives they use? Who could be the hiring managers and so on? And that is when you go on to the email. This is like a bit of movie making. If you spend a lot of time on the script, the shooting will be very easy. You will just get past that very, very quickly. But if you don't spend time on the script, on the screenplay, then your shooting is going to go for a toss. And that's what most Bollywood goes through, but that's just the reality. Spend time on the preparation, not on the actual task. Because if you are cutting trees, then sharpening the axe is what you should be spending time on, not cutting the trees every waking hour of the day. Let's get to the email. Starts with the subject line. Think of the funnel. Here's what the funnel looks like. At the start of it is the email landing in the inbox. So if you send out spam or you send out bulk emails to everyone, it's possible that your email will end up in spam. Don't do that. Send out one email at a time, always. Even if it means you'll have to send out 100 different emails, send out one email at a time where the individual you're sending it to is marked clearly in the to section. You don't mark them in BCC or CC, in the to section. And then you think of a good subject line because the top of the funnel is the email lands in their inbox and they just see who's it from and what's the subject line. That is what will get them to click. Nothing else. Not about who you are, which school you went to, what was the grades that you got, which role are you applying to. None of that matters. The only thing that matters on whether the email will be clicked or not is the subject line. And that's why you have to form a very fine balance. The subject line needs to be teasing, needs to be exciting, needs to be advertorial, but it can't be doing that in over excess. It can't be doing it in a manner where you're saying, oh, happy naked girls. That's not the way to write an email. It may get you clicks and opens, but that'll be a disaster and you don't want that. So what is very clear is that you write a subject line that is professional, that is exciting, and that is genuine. I gave you the examples of a few. You are a leader and that inspires me. I remember one who says, I can't believe I'm writing to you. Or you wouldn't believe what I saw today that got me to write this email. Whenever you write like that, you are actually creating curiosity and excitement in the email sender, in the email receiver. And that's what matters. So that's the first thing. The next step of the funnel is, do people go beyond the first paragraph itself? Because if it's going to be a long email, and it may be a long email, they're most likely not going to even read the entire bit of it. They're just going to read the first paragraph, give it about 5 to 7 seconds, and decide whether they want to go forward or not. So what should be the first paragraph about? Remember the last time you were in a mall, which was a long time back, by the way. Remember the last time you were in a mall and you saw some kids who were giving away puppies in donation or not donation, for adoption. Donation. For adoption. What did they do? They came close to you and they gave you the puppy in your hands. And that's when they started talking. So if you like puppies, or if you like dogs in general, you're like, oh, it's so cute. This is wonderful. This is like warm and fuzzy and lovely. And that's when it says, would you like to adopt one? His name is, I don't know, Archie. Or her name is Veronica. I don't know. Would you like to adopt one? At that point of time, it was really hard for you to say no, right? Because you like puppies. You like that warm, fuzzy feeling that it has created, and it becomes really hard for you to say no. But imagine a different scenario where they're holding the puppy from a distance and speaking to you, and they're like, would you like this puppy? Would you like to adopt this puppy? And you don't have an emotional connect with the puppy as yet. Like, you don't feel anything for it. It may be visually very cute, but you're like, okay. No, I'm good. I think I'm good. That's fine. Very cute puppy though, but I'm good. And in that case, you're not going to do it. That's what you have to achieve in the first paragraph. Make the receiver feel warm and fuzzy. And how do you do that? By complimenting them on what is it that you like about them. On telling them what is it that you have been inspired through them. By telling them something that will make them feel nice about themselves. That's what you have to achieve. It could be complimenting them. It could be complimenting their company. It could be complimenting their culture. It could be complimenting any aspect of it. And there were examples that I gave where people right in the beginning were directly like, I have been following you. I love your journey. Or this is what I was thinking of and you came to my mind. Or this is awe-inspiring and I love you for that. Whatever the case is, you have to form that emotional connect right away. That's the purpose of the first paragraph itself. And when you give it a read, it should not take you more than 10 seconds to go through that. That's at best the time that you can. And you have to glance through it. You'll have to have the nice words coming in. Don't be overexciting. Don't be like, you're the best, most stupendous, most awesome, generous, good looking, oh my God, unbelievable leader that I've come across. No. You don't go over the top. You have to make it real, and that's why the authenticity is very important. After the first paragraph, you establish connect with yourself and what the company has to offer. So you go into details of what is it that the company has to offer and what is it that you have to offer and how the two of them get together. That's the hard work. And this will mean that you may not have a lot of data points because there may not be a job opening, and we saw an email around that. It may mean that all that you're trying to do is just connect yourself and what you do with what you believe the person wants for, which is the first email about that really young 21-year-old guy, only talking about the things that they felt or he would have felt I would like or appreciate. But any which way, you have to find a connect between what you have to offer and what the company / that individual needs. And then after that, you close with a very specific direct ask, a request, and a request which is very straightforward. Don't make it very random. Don't make it uncertain. Don't make it a little shaky. It has to be super direct. It has to be almost like, here is the role that I'm applying to, and I would love to be interviewed for that role. Here is what I have to offer, and I would love to work with you directly. Here is what I have done, and I don't see any open roles, but I would love to have a conversation to explore if there's any role that you think is not advertised, but I would be a good fit for. It's a direct, simple, straightforward ask. It helps to give clarity to the receiver. It gets them to act and be focused on that action, and it gets you an answer, which is what the last thing I want to say is. You end the email with a question. Here's the thing about emails, and go back to the emails that you would have got, or maybe even the messages that you've got. If the message is long, if the email is long, you most likely respond to the last sentence first. You most likely respond to the last sentence first, especially if the last sentence is a question. That's what you have to do. That's the hack. So you end the email with a question, and that question will almost compel them to answer it. And that is where you will score, because they will either answer the question with a yes or a no. And trust me, at this point of time, when you're seeking a response is far better than the positive response, because you're just in possibly desperation, but you're just looking for a job and you want your cold emails to be answered so that you get your tracking right. And at that point of time, if you do not know what the answer is, you're just creating a big backlog of follow-ups. Which brings me to the last point that you have to do after you send that email. Follow up, and follow up only once. Give it about 4 days, 3 to 5, and you follow up. And you follow up with a very simple ask again, which is assuming that they've read the email, and that is what the assumption should be. So you don't say, oh, I'm not sure if you missed this email. No, that's a bad start. It's a very victim-based approach. It's a very apologetic approach. What you start with is, I'm sure that you read the email and you wouldn't possibly have time, or maybe you're hard pressed for time for a response. Just sending this email again so that whatever is it that you wanted to respond to me back then, you can do it right now. I'm just helping you bump this up in your inbox. And that's a very straightforward ask. The minute you do that, you have either a response or not. If you don't get a response, that's fine. You tried, and a cold email will not give you better than, say, a 10% response, and even a 10% is a fantastic response. And if you get it, great. But if you don't, that's fine. You move on. You move on to the next, you move on to the next. And the next could not necessarily be the next company. It could very well be the next person in the same company that you've done your research on, that you know that you would follow up on or chase in the first place itself. And that is how you write a cold email. I wish there was a course on this in colleges. I wish this was taught in companies itself, or just taught as a life skill. But it is just so important for you to communicate, and communicate professionally with whosoever you are looking for a job or a conversation. You start with the research, you follow it up with an email. The email has a subject line as a starting point, the first paragraph itself, which has to form the emotional connect. Then you form the connect between who you are and what the company or the individual wants. You ended up with a very direct ask, and then finally you end the email with a question. And then if you don't get a response in 3 to 5 days, you follow up. You try that, and I bet you will start finding responses. I've shared this thought with several people, and I have got a response from each one of them saying, it worked. It worked. I changed and it worked. I started writing great subject lines and it worked. And I guarantee that you will find a change in your cold emails as well. Let me know how it goes. Even if you were to come back after 3 days to this video and send in your comments, I would love to hear that this worked for you and how. All the best. Do remember to subscribe. I'll see you all next week. Bye. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that whenever we put up a new video, you're aware of it.